What if I told you that nearly half of what you do every day isn't a conscious choice, but an automatic habit running on autopilot? Welcome to the fascinating world of The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, a groundbreaking book that unravels the science of why we do what we do and how we can change. In this video, we'll explore the secrets behind habit loops, the hidden cravings that drive our actions, and the strategies that individuals, organizations, and even societies use to transform behaviors. Packed with real-life stories and powerful insights, this book is a blueprint for harnessing the power of habits to create meaningful change. Whether you're looking to break bad habits, build better ones, or understand how habits shape the world around you, this video will guide you through Duhigg's engaging exploration of the habits that define our lives. Chapter 1. The Habit Loop. This chapter unpacks the mechanics of how habits function through a three-step process: cue, routine, and reward. This loop operates as the fundamental building block of all habits, embedding behaviors into our daily lives. Charles Duhigg illustrates this concept with the story of Eugene Pauly, a man whose severe memory loss rendered him unable to retain new information. Despite his condition, Eugene unknowingly developed habits, such as finding his way around the block or preparing breakfast. His brain relied on ingrained routines triggered by specific cues, showing that habits exist independently of conscious memory. This underscores that habits are deeply rooted in our neurology, often operating without deliberate thought. A key lesson from this chapter is the power of cues in triggering habitual behavior. For instance, Eugene could navigate his home and neighborhood because environmental cues, like familiar paths or objects, prompted automatic routines. Similarly, many of our everyday actions, like brushing teeth or checking our phones, are initiated by subtle cues. Once a behavior is repeated enough, the brain associates the cue with the routine and expects a reward, making the habit automatic. This phenomenon highlights why bad habits, such as mindless snacking, persist. They often stem from deeply entrenched cue routine reward cycles. The chapter also teaches that understanding the habit loop allows us to gain control over our behaviors. By identifying the cue and reward of a habit, we can experiment with substituting a new routine while keeping the same trigger and incentive. For example, instead of snacking when stressed, one might replace it with a walk or deep breathing. This approach empowers individuals to break unhealthy cycles and create positive habits. Ultimately, the habit loop emphasizes that habits are not destiny. They can be understood, reshaped, and harnessed to improve our lives. Chapter 2. The Craving Brain. This chapter highlights the central role cravings play in forming and sustaining habits. Charles Duhigg explores how understanding the psychology behind cravings enables the creation of new habits or the modification of existing ones. He illustrates this concept with the story of Pepsodent toothpaste. The brand's breakthrough was its ability to create a craving for the clean feeling after brushing by marketing the frothy foam as a reward. This craving became the cue for repeated brushing behavior, making it a global habit. The key insight is that while cues trigger habits and rewards reinforce them, it's the craving for the reward that cements the habit loop in our brains. The chapter emphasizes that cravings are not inherently harmful but can be harnessed to drive positive change. For example, Duhigg describes how Febreze initially failed in the market until Procter & Gamble linked it to a reward that consumers would crave: a fresh-smelling home. The company altered its advertising to show Febreze as the finishing touch to cleaning, emphasizing the pleasure of a job well done. This reframing triggered a craving for the fresh smell, turning Febreze into a billion-dollar product. The lesson here is that businesses and individuals can strategically tie habits to rewards that create a strong emotional connection. On a personal level, the craving brain teaches that by identifying and understanding the cravings that drive our routines, we can reprogram our habits. If someone desires to exercise regularly, they might create a craving for the post-workout endorphin rush or the social interaction of a fitness class. This chapter underscores the importance of focusing not just on the actions or rewards, but also on cultivating a genuine craving to drive habit formation. Cravings, as Duhigg reveals, are the secret ingredient that transforms a good intention into a lasting routine. Chapter 3. The Golden Rule of Habit Change. In this chapter, Charles Duhigg emphasizes that habits can be altered by keeping the same cue and reward, but substituting a different routine. This principle is a cornerstone of effective habit transformation and is illustrated through examples like Alcoholics Anonymous, AA. AA succeeds because it doesn't try to eliminate the cue, e.g., stress or social discomfort, or the reward, a sense of relief or belonging. Instead, it replaces the drinking routine with a healthier social activity, such as attending meetings. By focusing on altering the routine, people can maintain the structure of their habits while redirecting them toward more constructive behaviors. The chapter also explains that belief is a critical component of lasting habit change. For example, AA's emphasis on faith, whether religious or secular, helps individuals believe in their ability to change. This belief provides the mental resilience needed to stick with new routines when old habits resurface, especially during challenging times. The story of Tony Dungy, the NFL coach, further illustrates this idea. Dungy transformed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by teaching players to react instinctively to familiar cues on the field while maintaining focus on new routines. This approach led to dramatic performance improvements, showing how ingrained habits can be re-engineered with consistent practice and trust in the process. Ultimately, the lessons from this chapter teach us that understanding the mechanics of habit loops, cue, routine, and reward empowers us to reshape behaviors. For instance, someone trying to quit smoking might identify stress as the cue, relaxation as the reward, and substitute the routine of smoking with meditation or exercise. The Golden Rule offers a practical, adaptable framework for overcoming destructive habits and fostering positive change in personal and professional life. Chapter 4. Keystone Habits, or the Ballad of Paul O'Neill. In this chapter, Charles Duhigg introduces the concept of keystone habits, specific patterns that hold disproportionate influence in shaping broader behavioral changes. Through the story of Paul O'Neill's leadership at Alcoa, Duhigg illustrates how focusing on a single, transformative habit can cascade into widespread organizational success. When O'Neill became CEO, he surprised investors by declaring worker safety his top priority, a focus seemingly unrelated to profits or productivity. Yet, by committing to reducing workplace injuries, O'Neill sparked a cultural overhaul, instilling accountability, efficiency, and collaboration at every level of the company. As safety improved, so did Alcoa's financial performance, showcasing the powerful ripple effects of keystone habits. The lesson from this chapter is that targeting keystone habits, whether personal or organizational, can ignite transformative changes. Keystone habits work because they shift how individuals perceive themselves and their priorities, creating a chain reaction of other behavioral adjustments. For example, Duhigg explains how adopting regular exercise often leads to improved eating habits, better time management, and even financial discipline. The focus on one area creates a sense of identity and achievement, making it easier to extend positive changes to other aspects of life. Similarly, Alcoa's emphasis on safety encouraged employees to improve communication and streamline processes, contributing to an innovative and cohesive corporate culture. The example of Alcoa demonstrates that change doesn't require overhauling every aspect of an organization or life. Instead, identifying and nurturing a single keystone habit can unlock progress across multiple domains. For individuals, this could mean committing to a morning routine that energizes the day. For organizations, it might involve a strategic focus, like enhancing customer service or fostering employee well-being. Keystone habits remind us of the exponential power of small, intentional changes. Chapter 5. Starbucks and the Habit of Success. This chapter explores how willpower can be transformed into a habit, using Starbucks as a case study to highlight the importance of structured training and routines in building resilience and success. The chapter recounts the story of Travis, a young man with a troubled background who became a star employee at Starbucks through the company's habit-driven training programs. Starbucks recognized that willpower isn't an innate trait, but a skill that can be cultivated. By teaching employees to anticipate challenges and respond with pre-planned routines, Starbucks turned customer service into a predictable and manageable process. One of the key lessons from this chapter is the role of Keystone habits in shaping broader behaviors. For Starbucks employees, the Keystone habit was learning how to manage stressful customer interactions. The company developed a system called the latte method: listen, acknowledge, take action, thank, explain, to equip employees with a routine for handling difficult situations. This approach not only improved customer satisfaction, but also fostered a sense of control and confidence among employees. The lesson is clear. When individuals know how to respond to pressure, they're more likely to perform consistently and with poise. Another important takeaway is the idea that willpower can be enhanced when linked to personal goals and values. Starbucks taught its employees to see their work as a pathway to personal development, encouraging them to internalize the skills learned on the job. For Travis, mastering routines and managing stress at work spilled over into his personal life, enabling him to pursue education and a better future. This example shows that cultivating good habits in one domain can trigger positive changes in others, underscoring the transformative power of deliberate habit formation. Through intentional training, Starbucks demonstrated that success can be engineered by creating habits that drive consistency, growth, and resilience. Chapter 6. The Power of a Crisis. This chapter emphasizes how crises, though disruptive, can serve as powerful catalysts for organizational transformation. Charles Duhigg argues that during times of turmoil, the usual constraints on change are weakened, creating opportunities for leaders to instill new habits and revamp organizational culture. The chapter highlights this through the story of the Rhode Island Hospital, where a medical mistake stemming from poor communication habits among staff resulted in a patient's death. The crisis exposed the dangers of ingrained, unhealthy organizational habits and forced the hospital to confront its flaws. To prevent future errors, the leadership implemented strict new protocols, fostering a culture where speaking up about mistakes became normalized. One key lesson from this chapter is the importance of leadership during crises. Effective leaders use crises not only to address immediate issues, but also to create lasting improvements by embedding positive habits. For instance, the chapter examines how Paul O'Neill transformed Alcoa during his tenure as CEO. By focusing on worker safety, a seemingly minor issue, O'Neill used the urgency created by safety-related incidents to overhaul communication, decision-making processes, and overall corporate habits. This singular focus on safety cascaded into higher productivity and profits, demonstrating how addressing a single keystone habit can ripple across an organization. A crisis, Duhigg argues, provides a rare window when people are more open to change. However, the success of change depends on leaders' ability to seize the moment and introduce clear, actionable habits. The examples of the hospital and Alcoa illustrate that crises, while inherently stressful, can yield transformative results if handled with strategic intent. By identifying and addressing the root cause of unhealthy habits, leaders can leverage crises to rewire an organization for sustained success, turning moments of chaos into opportunities for growth. Chapter 7. How Target Knows What You Want Before You Do. This chapter delves into how businesses, especially large retailers like Target, leverage data and behavioral patterns to predict consumer habits and shape their purchasing decisions. The chapter highlights how companies track buying behaviors to identify habits and preferences, enabling them to predict future purchases. For example, Target analyzes customer data to understand their habits around items like baby products, which has led them to design personalized marketing strategies that target individuals with coupons and advertisements tailored to their needs. This is based on the recognition that habits, once established, often follow predictable patterns. A key lesson from this chapter is that companies can influence consumer behavior by identifying and exploiting habit loops. Target uses sophisticated algorithms to monitor purchasing habits, creating customized offers based on a person's history of buying specific products. A famous example from the chapter is when Target identified a pregnant customer based on subtle purchasing cues, like buying unscented lotion, and then sent her a series of targeted advertisements for baby products. While this may seem invasive, It also highlights the power of data analytics in shaping consumer habits and the ethical considerations that come with this level of personalization. This chapter teaches us the power of understanding habits, both as consumers and business leaders. As consumers, we are influenced by tailored marketing strategies that tap into our unconscious habits, making it important to be aware of how companies shape our purchasing decisions. From a business perspective, the chapter emphasizes the value of using data to predict and influence customer behavior, which can be a key driver of sales. Ultimately, it shows that habit formation is not just a personal issue, but a powerful tool that companies use to craft successful marketing strategies. Chapter 8: Saddleback Church and the Montgomery Bus Boycott. This chapter explores how societal habits can shape movements and spark widespread social change. It illustrates that, much like individual habits, societal habits emerge through a pattern of cues, routines, and rewards. The chapter uses two distinct case studies to demonstrate this: the civil rights movement, particularly the Montgomery Bus Boycott, and the rapid growth of Saddleback Church. In both cases, the leaders behind these movements understood how to create new social habits by focusing on influential cues and actions that triggered mass participation. The Montgomery Bus Boycott, sparked by Rosa Parks' refusal to give up her seat, is a key example of how social change can stem from altering a single habit within a community. The boycott became a powerful movement because it disrupted the entrenched habit of segregated bus seating by creating a new, collective routine of walking rather than riding the bus. The reward, achieving social equality, motivated people to keep participating. This new routine became habitual for participants, and through repetition, it began to shift societal expectations and behaviors. The boycott's success wasn't just about individual defiance, but about creating a new social norm that reshaped the community's collective behavior. Similarly, Saddleback Church's rapid growth under Rick Warren illustrates how leaders can leverage habits to create large-scale social movements. Warren created an environment where people were encouraged to share their personal stories, fostering a community where participants felt a deep sense of belonging and purpose. By embedding habits of support and connection within the church culture, Warren effectively turned Saddleback into a dynamic social force. Both these examples emphasize that social habits are powerful tools that can mobilize individuals towards collective goals, teaching us that creating lasting change often requires not just individual transformation, but altering the habits of a group. Chapter 9: The Neurology of Free Will. In this chapter, Charles Duhigg delves into the relationship between our habits and the concept of free will. He explores whether we are truly responsible for our actions, or if they're simply the result of ingrained neural patterns. The chapter examines research on the brain's ability to form habits, specifically looking at cases where individuals perform actions automatically, without conscious thought. Duhigg introduces the idea that while habits govern many of our behaviors, there remains a space for conscious intervention, where we can choose to modify our habits. The lesson here is that we are not entirely controlled by our habits. While habits operate through automatic neural pathways, they do not erase our ability to make choices. Duhigg references the work of neurologist Ben Libet, who conducted experiments showing that the brain initiates actions before we are consciously aware of them. However, Libet also pointed out that the brain's awareness of a decision can still override its automatic impulses. This suggests that while our brains are often acting on habit, we maintain the power to change those habits by exercising awareness and conscious effort. The chapter ultimately emphasizes the importance of understanding how habits work in the brain, as this awareness provides us with the tools to regain control over our behavior. For example, addiction treatment programs like Alcoholics Anonymous focus on transforming harmful habits through conscious choice and repetition. By recognizing that habits form through repeated actions and neural reinforcement, we can use this knowledge to interrupt negative cycles and create new, healthier habits. This insight allows us to realize that, despite the automatic nature of some behaviors, we still possess the free will to change our actions, challenging the idea that we are entirely bound by our past habits. In conclusion, as we've seen, habits are at the core of everything we do. They shape our routines, influence our decisions, and drive our successes or struggles. But as Charles Duhigg reminds us in The Power of Habit, understanding how habits work gives us the power to change them. By identifying cues, routines, and rewards, we can reprogram the patterns that hold us back and create new ones that propel us forward. Whether it's transforming your personal life, improving an organization, or driving societal change, the potential lies within your grasp. Habits aren't destiny, they're tools. And with the right strategies, you can shape them to build the life you've always envisioned. If this video has inspired you to look at your habits in a new light, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insights into personal growth and transformation. Let's start rewriting our habit loops today.